Okay. I'm sorry for the very late stream today, but I honestly just got out of work. Can't even like fathom the shenanigans that went through today, but we'll no time for me to yap. So let's just get right into this. All right. Today was self-doubt. I know it was self-doubt because I looked at the outline before I started this. But yeah, this is probably gonna be my only stream today. It's very late, but I did say I was gonna stream, so this kind of takes priority because I need to get this released before we deploy. And Golden Sun is like a long-term project, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so let's not speed run this. Let's get as much done as we can, but it is self-doubt today. Self-doubt. Self-doubt, self-doubt. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do about self-doubt? And again, like I said before, just because I'm writing some stuff down, it's not 100% certain it's actually going to be in the final narrative. It's better to be over-prepared than not prepared. So eventually when I do my final like edit of this, I'll see what I'm going to keep and I'm going to get rid of what I feel doesn't really need to stay in there. Okay, so self-doubt. What do we want to talk about here? Self-doubt and portrayed spaces. Okay. All right, I think I got something here. At first, everything feels familiar. First, everything feels familiar. Everything feels... Do I want to do familiar? Yeah, I do. Familiar. I can actually fucking spell. I cannot spell tonight. First, everything feels familiar. You think you have map mesmerized. Memorized. You think you have the map memorized. You think you have the map memorized. You think you have the map memorized. That you I feel like being sassy tonight. I do feel like being sassy. You think you have the map mesmerized. That you... Hello. Excuse my French. It's been a long day. Very, very long day. So when I'm thinking about the map, what am I thinking about? Because FNAF is weird because you just have the specific areas of the pizzaplex, not the pizzaplex, the pizzeria, so that's fine. Fatal Frame is weird because Fatal Frame's the whole entire island, so we're not too worried about that. And the RPD is not so bad. I'm writing an essay for Resident Evil 2, FNAF, and Fatal Frame 4. I normally do that before I release my videos, just for verification purposes. FNAF is weird, very, very weird in this aspect, because we definitely start doubting. We start doubting ourselves a lot in FNAF because, using Foxy as an example, we look at Pirates Cove a lot. Then, yeah, doubts could be weird with FNAF. Okay. At first, everything feels familiar. You think you have the map memorized. That you mastered the rhythm of the map. Mastered the rhythm. The rhythm. That you mastered the rhythm of the place. There we go. Rhythm of the place. Of the place. I definitely do these streams for verification purposes because primarily I am a lore champion on top of other things that I do. But we're in a very weird period where you have to prove the receipts for everything you do. Like, you need to show the receipts. Like, sure, I can do this off stream, but it's better that, hey, here's me actually writing stuff down, and there's the proof in the pudding. But yeah, we're in a very very weird period nowadays. All right, anyways, back to this. At first, everything feels familiar, that you have the map mesmerized, that you mastered the rhythm of the place. But then something changes. Something changes. But then something changes. Then something changes. Then something changes. But then something changes. Then something changes. Subtle at first. This is going to be primarily Fatal Frame and FNAF, because I don't think anybody who ever plays like Resident Evil 2 starts doubting themselves. But then something changes, subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. We're at 8 pages right now, so I'm guaranteeing you, by the time I'm done with this is gonna be at least 20 pages, because there's so much we can write here. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. I'll throw a little bit of my own personal fluff, because whenever something goes wrong in a game, I'm the first person to say like, hey, I just hard locked, I just soft locked. So you tell yourself it's a glitch. You tell yourself it's a glitch. A coincidence. A coincidence. Or maybe just your nerves. Or maybe just your nerves. Or maybe just your nerves. At first, everything feels familiar. You think you have memorized the map, that you mastered the rhythm of the place. But then something changes, subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe just your nerves. Okay, so we'll use FNAF as an example here. We have X amount of cameras that we have to view. Each place we have to make sure we're looking at every single nook and cranny at any change. Specifically Pirates Cove. If I'm playing FNAF, specifically FNAF 1, I'm like, hey, I need to pay attention to everything around myself. I need to pay attention to this door, I need to pay attention to that door. But there will be times where I'll just completely forget about Foxy, and I'll be like, hey, did I check Pirates Cove? I did check Pirates Cove. No, I didn't check Pirates Cove. Then I start second guessing myself, then out of nowhere, bam, there's Foxy in my face. Crap, it looks like I didn't look at Pirates Cove after all. Okay, so at first, everything feels familiar. You think you've memorized the map, that you have mastered the rhythm of the place, but then something changes, subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe just your nerves. Or maybe just your nerves. But deep down, you know something's wrong. But deep down, you know something's wrong. Something's wrong. You start to question yourself. You start. In every horror game that I play, like, I'll start off strong, then as I progress, I just begin, like, second guessing myself. Specifically in very, very crazy games like Fatal Frame, for example. Fatal Frame just has a very bad habit of just messing with your mind, and you just get mentally exhausted. at least specifically Fatal Frame 4. The other one's not so much. You start to question not just the environment, not just the environment, not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Your own memory of it. Let's use an in-game example of this. You start to question not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time? Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time I checked? Or was I just imagining it? Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time I checked? Or was I just imagining it? We'll use all three case studies. So the FNAF portion is gonna be case study 3. The RPD is gonna be case study 1, and the entirety of Fatal Frame 2. Fatal Frame 4 is gonna be the second case study. So was that door always locked? Was that door always locked? No. Was that sound coming behind you? Coming from behind you? Or was that sound coming from behind you? Or inside your head? Inside your head. We can use that for Resident Evil. We need one for Fatal Frame. That's funny. We're definitely going to be pushing at least 15 pages with this. At least 15 pages. Which is fine. The more the merrier, but yeah, I'm going to push for at least the 15 to 20 page essay and at least a 50-minute video. Okay. Was that sound coming from behind you, or was it inside your head? Was that window? Was there a breeze always coming from that window? That window? Or was it? No. We need ghosts. We need something with ghosts. So I mentioned this before. Like, if you ever seen any old school Ghost Hunter show or any modern Ghost Hunter show, whenever there's a supernatural around, you start feeling cold. Cold is a good indicator of something supernatural happening. So what we can do is, did that hallway always feel cold, or was it just your imagination? Obviously, we can't feel it, but in games like Fatal Frame, you can just imagine it because of the tint. Like Fatal Frame 4, for example, no, 3. I'll use 3 as an example. Has a very weird blue tint to it. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we'll write it like that. No, actually, no. We won't do that because we can't personally feel it. We can imagine the hallway being cold or any other place being cold. So, was there always a slight breeze coming through that window? No. Was that window always open? Open, or did I just imagine it? Okay, let's see what we have so far. First, everything feels familiar. You think you have memorized the map, that you mastered the rhythm of the place, but then something changes. Subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe just your nerves. But deep down, you know something's wrong. You start to question not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Was that sound coming from behind you or inside your head? Was that window always open, or did I just imagine it? Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time I checked? Or was I just imagining it? No, we'll change that. We'll change that. Too cautious. There we go. People get the hint. Now, it's not only the monsters or ghosts that terrify us. It's our own memory. It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us. That terrify us. It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us. It's the fact that we can't trust our own recollection. No, we can't say fact. It's the realization we can't trust our recollection. I'm definitely gonna keep this section because we need to have a section like this. Self-doubt is very important, especially in horror games. Okay. But unfortunately, like I said, I got out of work way too late tonight, so we do like another 10 minutes. Tomorrow we'll do a little bit more time, but it's already getting almost nap time, and I gotta be up early again. So we'll do like another few minutes, then we'll go from there. And again, at the rate this is going, this is definitely going to be at least 15 to 20 pages long, and I'm pushing for at least a 40-minute video. If not, we can go just batshit crazy and go an hour. I don't know if anybody wants to sit down for an hour, but let's get it. All right. Our mind. It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us. It's the realization that we can't trust our own recollection. Our minds become clouded. Our minds become clouded. Our minds become clouded. Our minds become clouded. We need an example of that, though. How are our minds becoming clouded? Start becoming more cautious. You start becoming more cautious than normal. You start becoming more cautious than normal. For example, you look around longer. You look around longer. You begin noticing details that you didn't notice before. before. You look around longer, you begin noticing details that you didn't notice before. We started 3 sentences with you, so I think we're fine. Like, again, people get the hint. This is where horror becomes personal. This is where horror becomes personal. Because it stops. No, let's do another sentence. It stops being about survival. It stops being about survival and it stops being about survival and becomes self-doubt. It becomes self-doubt. There we go. Self-doubt. Self-doubt. Actually, about losing your own perception. We talked about perception. We still no about losing faith in your perception. There we go. About losing faith in your perception. Let's read what we have so far, and then we can continue on. At first, everything feels familiar. You think you have memorized the map, that you mastered the rhythm of the place, but then something changes. Subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe it's just your nerves, but deep down, you know something's wrong. You start to question not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Was that sound coming from behind you or inside your head? Was that window always open, or did I imagine it? Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time I checked? Or am I being too cautious? It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us. It's the realization that we can't trust our own recollection. Our minds become cloudy. You start becoming more cautious than normal. You look around longer. You begin noticing details that you didn't notice before. This is where horror becomes personal. It stops being about survival and becomes self-doubt. I need to put about there. Yeah. It becomes about self-doubt, about losing your perception. Or maybe we just change that sentence up a little bit. Yeah, no, it comes about self-doubt, about losing your own perception. Because me personally, I wouldn't feel safe, like, at all. So, what do I want to write here? You realize that every time you thought you were safe, every time you thought you were safe, I don't want to say it was an illusion. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were. We'll put that in italics. Because you believed you were. Whoops. You were. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were. Not because you actually are. Not because you actually were, actually. Not because you actually were. that it's kind of a that's fine. We don't need to put too much emphasis on that. Okay. That belief becomes shattered. No, the belief has been shattered. I really think this was gonna be a good one. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were. We don't need to go that much into any more detail about this. I think this is pretty straightforward for a small little subsection. Because I think this is like 14, probably. Maybe 12. I'd have to look at my outline again, but I think this is good. At first, everything feels familiar. You think you have memorized the map, that you mastered the rhythm of the place, but then something changes. Subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe just your nerves. But deep down, you know something's wrong. You start to question not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Was that sound coming from behind you or inside your head? Was that window always open or did I imagine it? Was Foxy peeking out of Pirate's Cove the last time I checked, or am I being too cautious? It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us. It's the realization that we can't trust our own recollection. This is why we prove our minds become cloudy. You start becoming more cautious than normal. You look around longer. You begin noticing details that you didn't notice before. This is where horror becomes personal. It stops being about survival. It becomes about self-doubt, about losing faith in your perception. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were, not because you were. I gotta change that. Yeah, I gotta change that. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were. Yeah, that's oof. That belief has been shattered. Okay, that's good. And that's the true betrayal. And that's the true betrayal. Horror stops living in the shadows. No. Horror stops living in the dark corners of the room. Horror stops living in the dark corners of the room. Horror stops living in the dark corners of the room. It starts living in your head. I know there's a run on here. I'm gonna find it, but we'll deal with that later. Horror stops living in the dark corners of the room. It starts living in your head. That's not a good way to finish that, though. I'm allowed to be. Let's write something cringy and diabolical. When you no longer fear what's out there. Yeah, when you no longer fear what's out there. When you no longer fear what's out there. You fear the possibility of what lies within. Ah, there we go. Shout out to Tekken 4. Tekken 5, sorry. Double within, yeah. No longer fear what's out there. You no longer fear what's out there. You fear the possibility of what lies within. I cannot spell tonight. Okay. This is... Fuck. Excuse my French. We're running out of time, but I think this is really good. Okay, let's read this one more time, and I don't think I need to add anything more to this, but we'll read it just in case. At first, everything feels familiar. You think you memorized the map, but you master the rhythm of the place. But something changes, subtle at first. The smallest inconsistencies begin to chip away at your sense of control. You tell yourself it's a glitch, a coincidence, or maybe just your nerves, but deep down you know something's wrong. You start to question not just the environment, but your own memory of it. Was that sound coming from behind you or inside your head? Was that window always open, or did I imagine it? Was Foxy peeking out a pirate's cove the last time I checked, or am I being too cautious? It's not only ghosts or monsters that terrify us, it's the realization that we can't trust our own recollection. Our minds become clouded. You start becoming more cautious than normal. You look around longer. You begin noticing details that you didn't notice before. This is where horror becomes personal. It stops being about survival and becomes about self-doubt, about losing faith in your own perception, in your perception. You realize that every time you thought you were safe was because you believed you were. That belief has been shattered, and that's the true betrayal. Horror stops living in the dark corners of the room and starts living in your head. When you no longer fear what's out there, you fear the possibility of what lies within. I probably could have put more examples there, but self-doubt's pretty self-explanatory. We don't need to go that crazy into details. Because again, we're already pushing like 9 pages, and we still haven't even gotten to the case studies yet. Sure, why not? Okay. Anyways, unfortunately, I do gotta get ready to go to work because it's gonna be a long day tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening. Shout out to the people that watch the VOD, and yeah, we'll do some more tomorrow. Take care. We'll see people later.